I guess that means this is Will.
I'm Patrick.
And I guess I'm excited that we're talking about Green Lantern. And we are guys with issues. It's funny because I knew you were going to do that.
I know you did.
And I thought he would say Chris,
Me too.
so I could say Patrick.
Nope. I stole it.
And what's funny,
He disrupted it.
and what's funny is I was going to say, and I'm also excited, like after the intro.
Right.
And so I just went with the,
There you
I'm
go.
excited.
Why not?
I'm excited because we're talking about Green Lantern Rebirth today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hal Jordan's coming back, baby.
I mean, I figured screwing up our names at the beginning was definitely the way to start our new Green Lantern.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of names in that. I'm going to tell you right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you guys doing? Good?
Doing good.
Doing good this week.
Yeah, I'm all right. I got a stupid cough that just will not go away.
For weeks.
Weeks. It's been over a month at this point, I believe.
Jeez. That is crazy. That you're not the only person that has had that happen either. I think one or two other people at work got sick, and then, I mean, didn't Mary say she's had one for a while?
Maybe.
Was it Mary?
Yeah. There's been like influenza A and B.
B's big right
And,
now. We've had people out at work, one or two with B.
RSV is a thing.
Bigsby.
Yeah.
That's actually what I thought. I wondered if Theo is influenza B, because they say that it's typically like head cold symptoms, but then you get like a really high fever.
Yeah.
And he had a runny nose for a couple of days, and then yesterday he had, last night, his fever, I guess. He had a fever yesterday out of the blue, and it was up to 104 something. Oof. And so we had to work it down. We worked it down, and he's okay. He slept most of the night. I slept on the couch in case he needed anything, and would wake up. I'm so proud of that guy. He left his room twice last night and used the potty instead of peeing in bed. He's doing a good job. And so, yeah, and today, I took off of work today to take care of him. And Cora, actually, they had a teacher in-service day, so she was home too.
Oh. Yeah.
But Theo, he was doing much better today, overall.
Amazing.
So I was really glad, because when you have a little kid that has a fever that high, it gets scary.
Yep.
You got to watch it so close.
Yeah. I know my brother's daughter was real sick, had a fever, was throwing up.
He ended up throwing up last night once.
Yeah. I know several guys where I work came down with bronchitis.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird time of year for bronchitis.
That's what I thought. When I'm like, it was cold and then it was warm and then it got cold again. And like apparently one of the guys that had influenza B was getting tested like at like urgent care. Mm-hmm. And like the nurse there was telling him, a lot of people are getting bronchitis. And she said that she had one person that came in that tested positive for both influenza A and influenza B.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that cannot be common.
You can have both of them at the same time. You could technically have both of those and like bronchitis and COVID.
Do you know how bad you would feel?
Yeah.
I don't want to find out.
You had all of those symptoms. Yuck. And that's why you don't spend time around people.
No.
This is kind of making me want to play Pandemic. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
At least in Pandemic, you're trying to put down the virus.
That's true.
You just like to kill bugs.
I do like to kill bugs. That's true.
Wow. Yeah.
So
the flu bug, the terminid bug.
So I saw
the
Dune
leafy bug.
Part 2.
Oh, you did see Dune Part 2.
And it was amazing, and everybody should go see it after they watch Dune Part 1.
Yeah, I got to watch Dune Part 1 before I can watch Part 2.
You do, but it is...
Do you know how badly I want to
good.
yell into the mic?
Well, I
Like,
mean,
you know,
you're
the
one
chanty
editing
music
it,
in
so
Dune.
it was really good. I really hope they continue on with it, but
I believe they are.
I've
Pretty
heard
sure.
that it's not as great of a story past this point by
Some
somebody.
Some people consider the following books to be better.
Okay.
So,
But I'm looking forward to it.
yeah.
I hope they can keep it up.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it. I'm going to take my dad. Maybe
Wonderful.
this weekend. Maybe
There you go.
if I can tomorrow, maybe I'll do that.
Sounds like fun.
Did you see part 1?
I've not watched it yet,
Oh,
but I was just thinking maybe I get in touch with my sisters and my brother or something. Maybe I'll go out again.
There you go.
We did that for Gojira plus one or minus
Minus one.
one.
I
or-
still need to watch that.
Anyway, I had something exciting happen at work yesterday
What was
when
that?
we had all those storms.
Yeah?
The building I was in got struck by lightning.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, there's a picture of it because they have security cameras everywhere.
Oh, you actually have like a video
they-
of it being struck by
I don't have a
lightning?
video. I have a still because the video
that's
is like
cool.
it just whites out.
Yeah.
But like,
this is some pretty good
Wow.
radio, everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
great radio.
Yeah, Will's
So, like-
showing us a photo
Yeah.
where you can
So like in the back on the
Lit-
right hand side, you can see it, and it kind of forks off to the side.
Oh, that's really neat.
literally
Yeah, and
caught
like
on camera.
right over here underneath that light
Yeah.
is the door to the office I was working in.
So it was just like a door down.
Yeah,
What? So that was
So
loud.
it was loud. You felt it. What was funny is there was this gentleman I was working with because I was out on the floor and working on the robot, and he was standing behind me, kind of watching what I was doing when it hit. And he did the most like stereotypical thing because he dropped down and like hid behind me and used me as cover.
What?
There's a video of it,
That's
and one of the
hilarious.
QC guys watched it.
They have that on video?
Yeah. And he came into the office this morning and was like, Will, I watched the security footage of when that lightning strike hit. And I heard the HR guy scream, yeah, I watched it too. It was funny.
Wow. Does he live in South Bend?
Yeah, he says he got shot before, so he gets a little jumpy with
Yeah.
loud noises. So.
Dude, for real? That's. I figured to have that reaction to that sound, you probably live in the nearest us inner city area, is what it would be.
Right.
You would have to.
You would have to.
So that is, I do not blame him for that
I don't
whatsoever.
blame- but
not even
I-
a little bit. I would, if I had been shot at before, I would have probably had a similar reaction.
Also, note to self: anytime danger is around, I can hide behind Will.
Yeah, because clearly he survived.
He did.
Yeah, yep. Everybody's fine.
What you don't realize is on the video, it shows that Will took a Superman pose.
Of course he did.
Fists on his hips,
Right.
straight up. Just that was his natural reaction.
Yeah,
It's all these comic books, man. It just brings it out of you.
that's right.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But yeah,
that is crazy
and
work moment.
still haven't won the lottery.
Ah, dang it, Will.
I was in a building, got struck by lightning. Happened, 50 feet away.
Yeah.
Can't win the lottery.
Can't win the lottery.
Wow. Most of the people that get hit by lightning, they get struck by lightning more than once. They don't win the lottery either. So you think
There's
Well-
one guy that got hit 7 times.
They win the lightning lottery.
that's the one nobody wants.
Right.
I've been struck by lightning more than anyone else, and it's like, I'm sorry.
Although those lightning scars are pretty cool looking.
Are they? I've seen that it can do some really interesting things depending how it
Right, depending on how
does
it does it.
But anyone who can get struck and survive you know what? It's good.
They're
it's
having a good day. Yeah.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
What's common about those is that a lot of people who get struck have a scar on the bottom of their foot because like it
It went through
discharges
there.
and goes to the ground.
Yeah, it's where it actually left, dude.
Yeah.
If that would be the case, if it would like physically leave through your foot, and if it was enough to scar, I would imagine you'd have like at least some form of hole or melting in your shoe, your shoe.
Or burn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a burn.
Yeah.
on the bottom of your shoe, I would keep those shoes forever, man. Right? I would show.
Mount them on your wall.
I would friggin' show everybody.
Dude, imagine if it was like a pair of Jordans. Like
there you go.
Because, like, those are really popular these days for, like, sneakerheads.
And you'd be like...
And these are Jordans that were struck by lightning. But no, where I learned that is actually, I was watching some video on, like, greatest continuities in TV shows, movies, whatever. And it actually brought up Avatar: The Last Airbender, because in, like, the end of season whatever, Aang...
I didn't watch season whatever.
Yeah. Aang gets hit by lightning.
Never seen it.
One of the firebenders
I haven't seen it.
shoots him with lightning.
Season whatever.
Yeah.
Any of it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
That's
So, yeah, the main character gets shot in the chest
by
lightning.
So what you're saying is you've never seen... Wait, what were we saying before?
Season whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what I was going with that. Just,
He had
Yeah,
something.
wow.
So
It was
Aang-
really good.
Aang-
It shows him
isn't
healing.
it pronounced Ong?
I don't care.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I think you just made most of our audience upset.
I think they did that in that stupid live action
They
movie.
did. That's why he made it.
I'm like, where have I heard that?
I
upset.
have seen that movie. I've never seen the TV show.
I would like to watch that TV show, but I don't have Netflix.
Is that what it's on?
Yes.
It's also on Paramount Plus.
Is it?
Almost positive. It's a Nickelodeon show, and I'm pretty sure
Then
it's
I
on
will
there.
look it up because I have that because Star Trek.
Yeah, I have that now
Right.
too.
Yeah.
But
Because
at the
of
end of
Paw
this
Patrol.
story,
Because of Star Trek.
it shows him healing. And even though he got hit in the chest, they actually drew a scar on the bottom of his foot because they did the research. And so it was like throughout the whole show, you'd see him like on the ground barefoot and he'd have a scar
Interesting.
on one of his feet.
That's awesome. Sorry for interrupting your story so much.
Yes. Yes.
It was a good story.
It was.
It was.
Media related, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't,
You know what?
they say that the Avatar: The Last Airbender comic books that take place after the show
Yeah.
are actually pretty good. The downside is you have to actually watch the show for them to make
to
sense.
make sense.
I'm gonna be honest. I tried watching Avatar like 5 years ago or something.
It's harder to watch as an adult.
It is harder to watch as an adult.
I'm sure. That's how I feel
just
about.
couldn't get through it.
I've
That's
felt-
why I'm
I feel
interested
like
in the
that about it.
TV show because I'm sure it's not exactly like the comics. They probably changed some stuff. So
Well, I don't know what to tell you. My wife really likes Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've never watched it, never participated in it, other than that bad movie.
right. She also really likes Harry Potter.
She does, and I can't read that either because the first book is not interesting to me at all when I've tried to read it.
Yeah, the first 3 are kind of rough.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, don't care.
So
You know what?
I also started watching Ted Lasso.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It's really,
I have no idea what it is.
I have heard
really good.
I don't know what it
It's
is.
the one where the guy goes
It is
to
the
England.
American football coach that gets hired by a European football
Yeah.
team to coach them.
Is it a comedy?
Yes. It is really good, though.
I've heard it is. But I thought it was only on Apple TV for
It
like
is.
the longest time.
It still is. I have Apple TV.
Oh, well. Mr. Fancy over here.
I know, right?
It's got everything but Netflix.
I refuse. I don't have Hulu either.
And you no longer have Disney Plus,
And I no longer have Disney Plus.
and I no longer have Max,
But there are so many different
which is
streaming services.
I gave up all my DC streaming.
You did. There's too many.
Like
And they
every-
charge
It's just
way too
cable
much.
again.
Yeah, it is.
They've literally gone. It's just their way of doing cable to be able to tell you good stories, sometimes mediocre stories.
pretty
but-
often.
most of the
You
time.
Pretty
know-
often mediocre.
You know what is an interesting story? Green Lantern Rebirth.
I
Way to,
wondered.
way to bring it right on, back around.
I tried to do it. like 2 discussions prior when Will was saying something.
Had to keep it going.
I was trying to.
Got to keep disrupting.
Look, I was really trying to help all of our banter listeners out this episode.
I know. And that's okay. But see, that's why I took the role this time. I was like, you know what? We're gonna bring it in. So we read Green Lantern Rebirth, as we said, which is the beginning of the Geoff Johns epic that went on for years and a reboot and all kinds of stuff. It was one of the only interesting thing that we didn't say before. When the New 52 happened, which we've talked about because of Flashpoint, this is like one of the only series that did not get changed.
Cool.
They do some things leading into it, like right before the New 52, and it pretty much just continues on because they're like, nope, we still have a story to tell.
They're very dedicated to that mythos, I guess.
I guess since it was Geoff Johns' like 100 issue, it's like an 80-some issue epic that he had started, and he's the one that was like the creative editor or something. Like he was like a big dog at DC during the New 52. I would say that that's probably why his stuff got to be the way it was.
Probably.
I don't know, but so Will. It's been a couple weeks since you've needed a synopsis. Did you bring us one?
I brought a synopsis to the table.
Synopsis is us.
Perfect.
Okay. Excessive. Hal Jordan returns to Earth, possessed by the spirit of vengeance, after he supposedly died when he used the power of the ring to reignite the sun to save Earth. I tried to get as much into the first sentence as I possibly could.
You did good.
Yes. But it would seem the evil impurity Parallax hasn't completely left Hal alone. The entire Justice League teams up with Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner to save Hal and the Earth from the destructive fear Parallax spreads. Will the heroes prevail? Find out today on Guys with Issues.
Yes.
I kept it real short because a whole lot happened. And I'm like, I could talk for about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you really
On
could.
It's
everything.
6 issues, but it sets up years of what comes next, and it had to try to also condense and expound, exposit.
I say that is one thing I was impressed by. Like, the pacing was very quick.
It was.
But I didn't feel left behind.
So I wondered, since we've read a number of comic books with a lot of exposition, mostly X-Men,
Yes.
and that's kind of our exposition bar, right? Like where if we look at a meter,
Right.
and we look at tons of exposition, but done like doesn't feel good, we refer to X-Men.
Right.
I actually feel like there's a ton of exposition in this, but it's incorporated so well into the story that it flows successfully.
Yeah.
Like you're really like half of what you read is kind of them saying what is happening or why it happened or things that already happened.
Yeah, things that
Whether
happen.
in dialogue or in the boxes as they tell somebody else,
Right.
the narrative boxes.
Curses.
But it actually, I was reading it and it had been a while since I read it and I went, wow, I never thought about how much of this is exposition, but it's actually, it doesn't feel like it drags it down. I would agree.
It does not.
Yeah.
And I would have been waiting to hear if you guys thought the same thing.
So I really need to say this before we move on.
Okay.
Do it.
Before, and I never really thought about this, but now I know for a fact that the X in X-Men stands for exposition. Because all the comic books that I've been introduced to with the X-Men were just full of it. So that's now my headcanon. That's the exposition man. And that's
That's hilarious.
Just really thought I'd put that out there because that is currently what I think every time I see X-Men now.
Is Exposition Men.
Exposition Men, yes.
That's hilarious. That could have almost been the name of this podcast.
Right?
Because we're
Guys with
talking, like we're telling, we are doing exposition about what we read.
Sure.
We could have been Exposition Men.
Guys with
So anyway,
exposition issues.
That could be our Justice League name.
Exposition Men?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's our like team up name.
Our team up name, Exposition Men.
So, did you guys enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Yes.
Cool. I did too, but nobody, I shouldn't even give opinions from now on. It'll surprise you. There are a few story arcs that I'll probably be kind of negative on, but not for a long time.
That's all right. Keep giving your opinion. People like to hear it.
Do they?
Yes.
So, Patrick,
So, Chris,
what was your overall thought, though? That's kind of...
it was good. I liked how they brought in some of the stuff we read before. With the whole,
yeah, the Emerald Twilight stuff.
Right, the Emerald Twilight stuff with Hal going crazy.
Yeah.
They explained all that. The yellow thing was interesting because I didn't know anything about that before this. I mean, I think I heard Christopher talking about it, but I didn't know
That he couldn't affect yellow before.
Yeah, I didn't. Before I started reading comics, because I know at some point you told me that, but it wasn't because we were starting to read this, so I picked it up. But yeah, that was interesting, doing all that stuff. Yeah,
Cool.
and the big yellow bad guy was much cooler in the comic books
Than a poop cloud.
than a poop cloud in the movie.
Yeah, that would have been a cool design in the movie, but
It really would have.
they were like, no, just make it a brown cloud with some yellow flashes.
It was probably a CGI budget
thing.
issue.
They were like, we already have this VFX for clouds, okay? We'd made the movie Twister. We can use wind.
They're like, we spent too much on the suit.
Yeah, right? Since they did that full CG
Yes,
suit.
they
That's what
did.
it was. They blew the whole budget on Ryan Reynolds' suit that gets made fun of.
Yes.
Although there are scenes where it looks okay.
Sure.
But you can tell when it's lit certain ways that those are the bad scenes.
Yeah, I'm also really glad that I watched that 20-minute video before, just because I was able to pick out some stuff that I wouldn't have really noticed beforehand.
It makes a difference. And that video is what brought me into it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read this, I had been thankful that I watched that, which is why I wanted, before we ever touched this, I wanted you guys to watch that video. And now you also saw why I had us read Emerald Twilight.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge part of
Right,
this.
it really is.
So,
yeah.
Which originally, instead of that, we were going to read this, but then you're like, I might want to do that whole thing later because we were doing like our
we were
Batman
doing Nightfall still.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we'll read this just to set up, just in case we ever do go back and do that.
And
Which
that's
is
why
good.
When you guys gave it a 3 or whatever, because you both were like, yeah, it was okay, but I felt kind of lost. I was like, it's okay. It'll matter later. You'd probably enjoy that story more now, actually, if you reread it, knowing some of the background from the
Probably.
like the 20-minute video. But anyway,
From the X-Men. Oh, sorry.
the exposition. Man. What about you, Will?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think that video definitely added context because they like explained the whole, how they redesigned the suits, what that was supposed to mean. Also, how they kind of expanded upon what was already there with because I don't think in the old comics they never explained why they couldn't affect yellow.
Yeah, that was created in this. Like the
so
reason.
now, you come into Rebirth and all of a sudden you have that immediate, well, if you had been a longtime fan, you're immediately getting some like cool drops and, like some answers to some stuff that had been
like
sort
it
of just
does.
hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're immediately getting something that's, cool. And I also think it was a good idea to have like the whole DCU involved in like this Rebirth because it definitely added like I mean, it had a lot of characters, but I don't think they gave them too much like page time or screen time, whatever you want to call it, to where it made things confusing. They kind of kept the focus on the Green Lanterns, like Guy, John, and Hal. But yeah, I think that was it
Cool.
for now.
Cool.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah.
I enjoyed rereading it again. This is so where I've never reread the entire series or the whole epic saga, whatever you want to call it. I have read Rebirth a couple of times because sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna reread that, and then I read Rebirth, and I usually just reread Rebirth, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot how much I enjoy that. But yeah, I think that it sets the groundwork really well. Like, since I know what's coming down the road, I think you guys will appreciate all of the foundation that it lays and how it sets up a lot of stuff even in this. So
I did read all of the little dialogue boxes this time.
Congratulations.
Because I'm like,
you would have been lost if you didn't.
Since we're reading the whole thing, I'm like, I probably should read these because this whole beginning arc is just going to be setting up stuff for, things to come.
Right.
I really enjoyed how they gave you that background of Hal Jordan. Like, there's like that whole sequence where they kind of give you his career, and they talk about like some of the stuff, and even like the parallax thing, how they're like, yeah, it's super old, and they realized that it was this entity, and then they trapped it, and
put it inside the universal battery or whatever it was called,
and then forgot about it.
And then they were like, and now it's been millions of years, and we don't care,
right?
Because we're the guardians of the universe, not to be confused with the princes of the universe.
Right.
I love that song.
I don't.
It's a Queen song.
I probably know it.
We were born to be princes of the universe.
Anyway.
I have a question.
Do you have notes for this portion?
No, I just have a question.
Okay.
I don't know that I can bring it up for it. Anyway, whatever.
Okay.
Who was that guy with the big head that was locked up at the end?
His name is Hector Hammond. He is one of Hal Jordan's like reoccurring enemies.
Okay.
He has like psychic powers.
I say
He's the guy from the movie. He's the villain.
Okay.
He looked
I'm
like
just saying.
the guy from, I know it's not the same universe, but from Avengers, the game.
Oh, like MODOK?
Yeah.
Like, because he's just a big head?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's literally just the same bad guy, completely
But yeah,
different.
no, Hector Hammond, it's like, yeah, he's psychic kind of thing. But
I was just curious because
Yeah.
they made a big
It just
deal of
shows
it,
that-
and I didn't know who it was.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of it, right? Like when I read this, other than seeing Hector Hammond in the movie, I didn't have any context either. But in the movie, they have his head get really big and all that stuff.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah,
It has been
like,
a while.
He's like the bad guy in the movie.
Cool.
I haven't watched the movie in probably at least a decade or something.
We should find a time and watch the movie.
We should.
Yeah, because I've never seen it.
Then we kind of have to, even though it's not that great. I still think you can walk away from it and go, "That was okay."
I'm sure I did the first time I watched it.
I'm going to tell you right now, Michael Clark Duncan as the voice of Kilowog, who's like the big alien dude
Right.
in this. I like, by the way, anyway, don't get distracted. Michael Clark Duncan as the voice of Kilowog and Mark Strong as Sinestro are worth watching that movie at least once.
I
in my
agree.
opinion. So if anybody did read along with us, there are things that happen before this. You don't have to know for the journey that this is, like that takes place for this.
Sure.
You don't have to know all of that, but there are answers out there.
Yeah.
Or you can just, email us at longbox@guyswithissues.com.
Yeah, if you read along and you have a question about something And if you read Green Lantern along with us and you ever have questions about that, you should definitely send it to us because I should be able to answer them.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, something else that I thought was cool that they established in this was that when the rings are used, it's painful. That there's like
it's exhausting.
Yes.
Like it taxes their body.
There's like a level of pain that they explain later because it basically forces you to face your fear and overcome it every time you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is about willpower. But I think they say in this that if your ring is low and you try to like force it out, that it kind of takes more.
Maybe.
Like
I don't remember.
Because that's when, Green Arrow puts on Hal's old ring before he got revived.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to shoot one arrow. And he's like, man, I felt like I haven't slept in days. And
that's
Kyle's
because Green Arrow has very poor willpower.
Yeah.
You should... Oh, never mind.
Which is
I don't want to
hilarious.
spoil something that comes later. It's so cool.
Which is hilarious because it's one of Will's favorite heroes.
I mean...
But he doesn't
Mostly.
have much willpower.
No. No.
Will,
he doesn't know him personally.
Well,
If he
you got to
did-
try harder.
But I also like that they established that each of the lanterns, how they use their ring is different.
Oh, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That sequence.
Yeah, how like Guy's ring is just like a bunch of reckless energy,
Yeah.
and John's is like architectural.
Like his constructs aren't hollow. He builds them from the inside out.
Yes.
That was cool.
It was cool.
And Kyle's being an artist is like he's sketching everything, and so it's like sometimes it's changing because
Right.
he's like, no, I don't like that as much.
He's a perfectionist and
It's
he would
fun.
never stop.
And then Hal's ring, it's just he always goes for simple and effective. It's why he
Sure.
makes boxing gloves and jet planes. It's just what he knows, and it gets the job done.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. One of my I wrote a quote down. I love when Hal is talking to Kyle, I think. And I think Hal says, hope is meaningless against fear. Willpower is our only weapon. And I was like, that's cool.
That is cool.
Because it's literal in their sense.
No, one of my favorite parts was when Green Arrow picked up the ring and used it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it shows how much effort
How
he had
much
to
effort.
put
Mhm,
forth.
Exactly.
And he shoots one decently, like it's a good-sized arrow.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it hits too. Like he
It
lands
does.
a hit on.
Well,
Yeah, it goes
Sinestro.
through him.
it's Green Arrow.
It's literally
so-
got. He has a hole in him after that. Like it landed.
It landed.
But really, it just served to make him angry.
Sure.
Yeah, 'cause
Didn't
that was,
do.
for
It
those who
bought
didn't-
Kyle time. That's
yeah.
that's what.
For those who didn't read, that during the fight between Sinestro and Kyle Rayner, the Green Arrow puts on Hal's old ring and uses it to distract Sinestro for a second in order for Kyle to kind of get his crap back together and
Right.
start fighting.
And look, all I'm saying is it's a good thing Sinestro wasn't Bruce Banner in that situation. Because it just made him angry.
then he would get stronger.
Right.
Speaking of the moment when Green Arrow uses the ring, I like that they're like, oh, who believes in Hal anymore or whatever, and he's like, I do.
Right.
Like he never stopped believing in Hal because he did not believe that Hal could truly be a villain,
Yep.
and that is an amazing friend.
Yep.
It's like, I've had to fight you alongside the whole Justice League, but I still believe in you, buddy.
Even while shooting him with arrows, still believe in you.
But yeah, I thought that was cool because then he uses the ring like after he basically professes that he never gave up on Hal. It's like a cool moment.
It is.
Yeah,
It was very cool.
that was definitely one of the good ones. Also, because Green Arrow charged the ring in that moment, I like that when Hal comes back, then the ring is charged. Because, like, that's such good scripting. Is like, oh, hey, you know what? We need Hal Jordan to have his ring. But they, oh, shoot, when is it going to be charged? How's it going to be ready for him to face Sinestro? Have Green Arrow do it. He does it before Hal's back.
Except
and
he
it's
never
like,
finishes the...
you don't see him do it, but he shot the arrow, so he might have.
Maybe.
He remembered. I
Or maybe
because here's the thing: the ring had 99. Oh, that made me laugh out loud though. Is Green Arrow's shot because it said it had like 99.3 or 99.7% charge or something, and it made me laugh because I was like, Green Arrow used like a point. Like less than 1%. Everything he could muster inside of him, all of his willpower, less than 1% of the power of the ring.
Right.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But no, he literally said at the end of the Green Arrow did. He was like, there's no way I'm going to remember that. And I don't remember if he used the word damn or not, but
I think he says, what the hell was it? Is what I think. Or something like that. I don't know. I sent it to you today. Let me.
No. That wasn't that was the first part, but there was a scene later on at the very end where he said that to Hal.
Oh, as he gives him the lantern.
Oh.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, I never remember that damn
That oath.
oath.
Yeah.
Were there any other parts you guys wanted to mention before you mentioned your specifics?
I mean, I kind of like how they. I guess I kind of said that before, but they did. They told the backstory while telling the current story kind of at the same time. Like the part where he's talking to Carol, whoever, like his childhood friend,
Carol Ferris.
Yeah, and they kind of told his backstory of how his dad died, but they didn't have to stop the main plot moving in order to like go back and have all these flashbacks and stuff. Like it didn't take up a whole lot of time.
No, it was just a part of the story.
Like the whole scripting of this has been, very well done.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything from you?
I don't remember who said it. But for some reason I have a note here that says, Bats does do best at preparing for the worst. Somebody said it.
Yeah, I did. I
think
don't
that was
remember.
Green Arrow.
It was during
it Green Arrow?
It was in the
Green
middle.
Arrow
Yeah,
or-
that could be Green Arrow.
It was Green Arrow or John Stewart.
I was going to say it might have been John.
Yeah, because that's
But-
when they were like fighting.
Because they called him Bats.
Yes.
Whoever did. That's why I wrote Bats down.
I liked how surprising those moments are when Guy and John turn against everybody, where you don't know that they're being controlled to be bad in the moment. And all of a sudden they like power up and John finally like lets Batman have it. And you're like, oh, he's fed up with Batman bullying him around. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, this is way worse than that. He is off the chain. He's gone. And then Guy is like losing it, and it's just like, wow, Green Lanterns are really powerful when they let loose. Yeah, that was
the space cops.
So this series claims, and I'm sure, again, this is one of those comic book things, and some people would probably be like, that's not true. But they talk about the ring being the most powerful weapon in the universe. Like that technically there is no fabricated weapon more powerful than a Green Lantern ring. That gets brought up multiple times through the series.
I mean, I guess it would depend on the person who's wielding its willpower.
Well,
And their
right?
creativity and
Because,
imagination.
I mean, if it's Green Arrow,
Then it's the
it's
weakest.
obviously not the strongest weapon in the universe. No
or
offense,
I think they, yeah. Well, I think they mentioned that in that little 20-minute video where there's the one guy who lived on a planet where using weapons was dishonorable.
Oh,
or
Hanu.
something. Yeah.
Hanu, I think maybe.
Right.
So it's like in his hands,
Yeah, but
more
then
or less.
I also like that Kilowoggs makes like sounds.
Yeah, it's the
It
only one that-
literally CHOOM. It's
Yeah.
like choom, choom. Like when it charges. That's awesome. I love that. I love onomatopoeia words in comic books.
That's good.
I do. And they're all over in some of these.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your favorite scene?
Well, I have two, so I'm gonna say one, and then we'll go around to everybody, and I'll say the other one. I really liked when I don't know if it was the best scene in the whole comic book, but the splash page of all of the heroes right before they ganged up on Sinestro. I like that. I don't know.
But that's what those pages are supposed to be.
I know. It was just great. I was like, this is wonderful. Do this more often. It was wonderful.
Yeah. No, this had a couple of really cool splash pages.
It did.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
It had some really good ones.
But I really like that.
Yeah. Cool.
Mine would have to be the part where I would say the Green Arrow shooting the thing.
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Yeah. And he's at the ring. That was really cool.
That was a very cool part.
It's kind of a
It
tie.
was.
I tie it with another one.
Sure, we
so
can come back
both
to you
have
too.
Yeah.
I know. I had a bunch of moments where I was like, is this my favorite part? That's why I talked about so many of them a minute ago, because
Sure.
I was just like, oh. So I would say my favorite part is when Hal Jordan comes back to life. That, like, when...
That was my second.
Was it?
Yeah.
Like, the way the dialogue's done.
It was so good.
And like with his body in the casket, and you see like the gray like fade from his hair and his body come back to life, and he gets up out of it, and you're just like, oh,
That was
it's
awesome.
on, man. Now
was
Jordan's
awesome.
back.
That was
It's
tied. That was tied for first.
It's a cool moment,
It really is.
man. And it just feels so good when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And for the whole book to be about bringing him back and kind of like resetting the core for what they wanted to, like the story that they tell, that moment feels like the payoff. It felt so good. So what was your other one?
Oh, my other one was right after Hal and Kyle beat Sinestro, and they start talking about, and they start talking to the ring.
Yes.
That was like the first like real cop moment where it's, you know,
Where he's like, it's a 1397 or something.
yeah. They give the
That was good.
They give the code, and Hal's like, "Wait, what is that?" And it explains like, "Oh, he slipped away to this antimatter."
Kyle says, what is that? And then Hal's like, oh, yeah. And he got away into an antimatter universe. Like,
Right.
villain escaped through antimatter.
Yeah, I like that. That was really good.
Yeah, that is... You do get some of that in the core books and stuff where they're like responding to things, and that is what I love. I love that it's space cops when they
Right.
do that, man. But that's true. That part made me laugh because it also shows how Kyle has been the only bearer for so long, and he's been doing all this stuff. He's been in space. He's been protecting Earth. He's helped restart the Green Lantern Corps completely at that point, but he really doesn't know what it is.
Right.
Like he's never been a part of what it really is
Yeah,
at
'cause
that point.
he was there after Hal fell and
Yeah.
destroyed everything. And
That's a good meeting too.
yeah, where he was like, "I guess we should do this officially this time," and he shakes his hand. He's like,
And-
"I'm Hal Jordan."
Yeah.
Right.
That was a good part
was a
too.
good part.
Like
It really
their
was.
official thing. And it's just like immediately you can see that Hal's more of like a mentor character to people. Like you can see that right away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was good. Did you have a favorite character?
Wait, Pat had a second.
His second was the Rebirth.
Oh wait, okay. You didn't actually say that it was what your other one was.
I did. You weren't listening.
We have to be we have followed tradition
We
here.
do.
Yeah.
We do. I'm not surprised. I'm just saying.
Shoot. Oh, shots fired.
New shirt.
I'm going to say
I'm not surprised.
I don't know, man. There were so many good characters.
There are.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say Superman.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
He was
Like he
in
was
it.
there and he said a couple of things and I'm
Right.
picking him.
I mean, if, to kind of back you up on that, he was standing up for Hal
He
kind
was against
for a
Batman.
while. Yeah.
Dude, Batman in this. But then at the end, you still feel like they're like, you feel like he almost was doing it on purpose.
Almost. But then again, it's Batman, so it's very possibly could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
But no, I don't think he was. I think he was wrong.
He was a butthead.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's Batman.
yeah, we have a friend that doesn't like when Batman gets punched because he's basically, he's like, his thing about that is there's no way Batman would be caught off guard to be punched by Hal Jordan.
And I think he kind of allowed it.
Part of me thinks Batman let him hit him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, that's what Hal needed.
Right.
Like, so he kind of gives it to him. Kind of like our discussion on Superman let Batman hit the baseball.
Yep.
Maybe that's
Like,
where he
maybe
learned that.
maybe Batman let Hal hit him.
And maybe that's where Batman learned that lesson. Like he's like, you know what? I bet he let
this
me.
was years before. This was years before that.
Head
but that's
cannon.
all it- Head cannon.
We're talking about a lot of headcanon today. Exposition men.
Exposition men and the head cannon. Who was your favorite character then? Was it Batman? Because he was always
yeah.
drawn in perfect black shadow. Like you couldn't even
His-
see him. It was just a silhouette almost all the time.
His artwork was a little bit weird.
Batman's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The way they do it is kind of different.
I would give it to Kyle Rayner though. Like I think he did. Like it was
That's a good choice.
yeah.
I switch back and forth between Hal and Kyle being my favorite Green Lantern. Kyle's like my favorite Lantern. Pretty much hands down.
Yeah.
But there are times where when I'm reading Hal stuff, I'm like, oh, I love Hal.
But yeah, it's like at the beginning when he first gets out the ship and he's like, you know, he has to fight the fear with willpower, but he can't use the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, he realizes, you know, he was fighting fear the whole time that because he's talking to Hal about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that conversation
No.
that
Yeah.
took place.
I thought that canon was interesting that they developed for Kyle in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically saying, hey, the reason you could always affect Yellow is because you were always scared. Like you have never been the same as the others. Kyle's an artist. He's emotional. That's just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
But cool. So Kyle's yours.
Yeah, I'd give it to Kyle this time.
That's cool. I'll pick Hal then.
There you go.
That way, Kyle and Hal both get called out. I think Guy's pretty good in this, only because I like when he's like, "Yeah, uniform looks great," and they're like, "I thought you hated that," and he's like, "Not really." Also, I think it's funny that when his ring comes onto his finger, he's totally flipping the bird. His hand is straight up middle finger because it goes on his middle finger. And his like other finger's half cocked. He's 100% flipping the bird,
Which is very Guy Gardner.
It is
Just like
Totally.
what you were doing to me.
just now,
Right.
as I was talking about.
He was demonstrating
I was demonstrating
to me
the
how
bird
he was
flip.
Right, the bird flip.
Yeah. So, did you have a least favorite part?
No. No.
Okay.
No. I'm not jumping on that landmine.
Why did you think of something? And
No.
then, oh, okay. It was like what? He's like,
Just trying to make it sound cool.
yeah. We'll just say that when we don't have something from now on. I'm not jumping on that landmine.
That's right.
What about you, Will? Did you have a part that fell flat for you?
Not really. I mean,
it was so well paced.
It was.
yeah,
really
it is.
They trimmed a lot of fat off it.
You can tell that the intention behind this kicking something off. The craft behind it. They made sure it was what it needed to be.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one either. I looked at my notes thinking, did I have one? You know what I mean? And I don't think I wrote. I think I just had a question mark.
See, I'm surprised you weren't like it was when Batman got punched because we all know how much
You
you
know,
like Batman.
I could say that, except I'm not going to lie. I don't think the person that has these strong feelings about that scene listened to this. but I've always liked that part because he's being an a-hole to Hal.
He really is.
And Hal's just like, shut your mouth, man.
Well,
And
so the
again,
only...
though, but Batman's cool with him because they're like, oh, is it about to go down? And Batman's like, no.
Well, I
And
know
that's
that.
why I think that maybe he gives it to him a little bit.
Right. But I'm
Right.
just saying the only reason that he was being an a-hole to him was because he thought he was still
A villain.
a villain.
Yeah, so for all of you who think it's ridiculous that Ben Affleck's Batman fights Superman in BVS because it's like, oh, that's dumb. Why would he fight Superman? Why would okay. You know what? If comic book Batman could be unconvinced that Hal Jordan isn't a villain, then movie Batman can think Superman's a villain, okay?
Do that math and figure it out.
Yeah.
I jumped on that landmine.
You did jump on that landmine.
I also like, though, at that ending point, then, Batman says, I think we could use a little more light in the galaxy or
Yeah, I
whatever.
know, right? That
Like,
was
he
good.
welcomes him back.
He does.
He does.
He changes his mind.
He gives it to him in the end. And I think that that's the point. I think that Hal's reaction, they say when you fight somebody is when you truly know them. And so I think Batman let him land that hit so he knew for sure that Hal was genuine.
Sure.
I'm just BS.
I mean, for a while, my least favorite part was going to be when Guy got sick because he had like this.
Are you talking about the warrior thing?
He had the other power to like morph himself,
Yeah, his
or
like
something.
alien blood.
and then he just randomly just attacks John, and it wasn't until later it's revealed he was being controlled by Parallax.
Right.
But then it's like at the same time, why wasn't John affected at the same time when he was the one actually wearing the ring?
He has to be using it, okay?
But Guy hasn't used it in a long time. Like, how did it affect him first?
Because guy's crazy. He's susceptible to influence. I don't know. I'm making it up. I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried about it.
That's like
That is technically your least favorite.
if you want to nitpick and like really dig down into the, but I don't know. It led to a cool part later. So it was like it kind of just got forgotten and erased.
There you go.
So, least favorite character? Did you have a least favorite character?
Batman.
Because he was being a bully?
Yeah.
I wondered if somebody would actually say Batman is their least favorite in this.
Yeah.
Because he's a jerk through the
I mean,
whole thing.
By the end, he was fine, but
Literally the end, though.
Right.
Like the end.
right. So Batman.
Yeah. Cool. What about you?
So in this case, it was Batman versus Superman for me.
Because Superman was your favorite.
Yes. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm just being dumb. Go Will.
I liked it.
I don't think I really
don't have a least
one.
favorite?
No.
I'm about to blow your mind. I have a least favorite character.
Is it Batman?
It's not.
Oh, I was gonna say, wow.
Is it Superman?
I considered saying Batman because when he's written like that, he is annoying.
He
kind
kind
of
of
is.
was, though.
But he was supposed to be. He was,
Right.
and Batman isn't supposed to trust people. And Hal Jordan had been a major villain for a while, so I
Right.
mean, I get it.
It's fair.
I get it. Batman has contingencies to take out every member of the Justice League.
Yes.
I get it.
Batman is the biggest.
He is the-
DC villain.
Really though, right?
He is.
Oh, that was actually a really cool part in the show. Like I think it was Justice League Unlimited when everybody finds out that he has contingency plans
Oh,
to deal with every member.
they have a movie
they're-
called Doom, Justice League Doom, that plays on that.
Yeah, and everybody was getting mad at him because they look and they're like, "Well, there's not one for you." He's like, "Yes, there is." They're like, "What is it?" He's like, "It's called the Justice League," and he turns around and walks away.
I don't believe him when he says stuff like that, though.
Yeah, I don't
he
either.
doesn't.
I mean,
think
it was a cool like
It is.
mic
It
drop,
is.
walk out moment.
So the comic book that's based on is called The Tower of Babel, and it's from Justice League of America. It's JLA. I think it was when it was written by Grant Morrison. It's actually one of the things that's good quite good of his, if it's what I'm thinking, the run that he did. And Batman, those contingencies are used against the League members by a bad guy, and they kick Batman out of the League at the end. And Superman meets him in the Batcave, and that's basically where he goes, well, what's your contingency? And he's like, it's you, Clark. But then now in the current run of Batman that is going on like now at like 100 and whatever issues into Rebirth, there's actually a totally different contingency that exists, and that's the failsafe arc that I thought was really good. Stupid. But they show that scene where Superman shows up after the Tower of Babel, and he's like, it's you. And then he leaves, and he's like, it's not you. But anyway, my least favorite character is the Spectre. I never like stuff with the Spectre.
That's actually a good choice.
The Spectre's the spirit of vengeance that he's fused to.
Oh.
The Spectre is one of like the DC magic people. And he's in some, I want to say the Spectre even shows up in that Blue Beetle run later, like down the line. And he's in a bunch of stuff that is related to magic DC universe stuff.
Actually,
I pretty much never like him. I really do not like the character. And it isn't just because of my personal belief system and that I feel like it's totally contrary to the reality of that, but it's the way the character is always written, and I don't like him. I don't like the Spectre. It was done well for the character. It suited him. He was exactly what he needed to be. Did not like it because I don't like the character.
Sure.
So it's just one of those characters that when they're in something, I'm like, it's going to be my least favorite character.
Was he a new character, or was he getting his own reboot in Rebirth?
No, I mean, that character's been around for like years and years. Decades.
I wonder if they kind of like pushed.
I think he's from like the 70s.
It's almost like he's haunting the place.
Yeah.
The Spectre.
But I think they put him in there to try to attract the Green Lantern readers to go too, because at the end when he leaves, he's like, yeah, there's this man who's about to die, and I'm going to go and blah,
possess
blah, blah.
him, basically, or something like that.
I got to go do this other guy who's about to get murdered. I'm like, oh, that's a different comic book series.
Yeah, because they clearly had to pull him off of Hal.
Yeah.
So they would have rebooted his stuff too, probably. You're right. I'm sure that there's a comic that shows what that is, who that is.
It's a bit,
I'm sure.
I guess they needed like some sort of mechanism to kind of help Hal fight Parallax.
Yeah, and the Spectre's one of like the most powerful entities in all of the DC universe.
So they're like, we're kind of backed into a corner with this whole Parallax
He's
thing.
a bad guy once in a while. Like, he gets influenced in this one story arc that I think they have to fight him or something. The magic people. Right before Infinite Crisis, maybe? Anyway. Something that I think you guys would enjoy as you see more of the DC universe.
Sure.
I have Identity Crisis.
That's its own story. That's a murder mystery that's really well done. Like, really well done. It's actually written by a novelist.
Hey, get this, Pat. I bought it at Chimps because of someone's recommendation.
Oh, yeah. That never happens.
Not to anybody in this room.
No.
And by somebody, for our listener, I mean Chris.
He does.
Yeah, punching that wallet.
Yeah.
So, are we rating it out of lantern rings? Is that what we're going to do?
I feel like that's too on the nose. I think we should rate
Nobody wears a lantern nose ring.
I think we should rate it
would be
out of the interdimensional code. How many of those?
What, like the precinct codes?
Yeah, the 19375 or whatever it was.
I don't remember what. How many villains escaped into an anti universe?
No, we can do whatever.
That's funny. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be.
It could be lanterns.
How many constructs?
We can do constructs. We could do Batman.
Possessed Parallax.
Possessed Parallax.
People. Triple P's.
How many specters?
Ugh. Too many. One is too many.
One is too many. Want to do rings? Do we just
We're
want
gonna
to?
have to pick.
Do we want to?
time.
Do we want to just pick one this time and just keep it for the whole run? Because if we do that, it has to be rings.
No, then it can be lanterns.
It could be lanterns.
As in, like,
Yeah.
Green Lantern Corps members,
Oh,
not
there you
like
go.
the physical
Yeah.
power batteries.
Okay.
But like how many members? Because there's 4 Earth Lanterns standard throughout the whole series.
Well, there we go. Let's just do
We're
lanterns.
just gonna pick lanterns. How many Green Lantern Corps members
Yeah.
would you give this?
Sure.
There were 5 in the final fight.
Yeah.
There were the 4 Earth and Kilowog.
Right. Works out.
Sure. Are you okay
Yeah,
with that,
I'm
Will?
good.
Okay. How many lanterns? And it could be. I mean, it could be power batteries. I've almost bought the replica life-size ones. They come with the rings that when you put it against them, they glow.
That does not surprise me.
I've almost bought one so many times. So, Patrick, how many lanterns are you going to give this?
So before I say my number, I want everybody to know that yesterday I went to Chimps and I ordered the omnibus. So I think you can all guess I'm going to give it a 5, but there you go.
A cinco lantern. I don't know lanterns in Spanish.
And guess who helped me pick out the omnibus?
Will.
No, it wasn't Will.
I was there in spirit.
It was me. I texted you that time.
You did. You did.
And I even did the research to see what came in it to make sure it was worth the buy first.
Right in the wallet. I appreciate it, man.
Punched the
I
wallet.
appreciate it.
I am the researcher. I've been creating a custom read list like Will did for our one.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do that for this because it's going to have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you just have to make sure to set it to public.
And share it with you.
Yeah, and then you can share it.
Well, I'll do that. It's not done yet.
That's
It's
okay.
not done yet. What about you, Will?
I give it a 5.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. You guys have said I'm the wild card.
Wild Will Card. Mm-hmm. Wild Card Will. I was trying to make Card your last name, but I don't like that as much. And mine is. Do I even rate during all of this?
Yes,
I just ask you guys.
You rate. 'Cause you say there are some that aren't.
No, there will definitely be some that I might be the lower one, believe it or not. But yeah, 5. I forgot how much I liked this when I read it
really
again. I
good.
was like, man, it's so well written.
It is.
But again, we've read, I want to say Flashpoint was by Johns, Aquaman was by Johns, and we've given all of those 5s.
Yeah.
Like he's not, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I sound like a Geoff Johns fanboy. I've read stuff of his that I don't think is like, oh man, this is amazing. And sometimes his stuff can be really like cliche and safe, but he just understands characters so well that when he writes, the characters feel so good.
Yeah, and I wonder if that kind of depends on how much of a fanboy he is, because it definitely seemed from that video we watched and reading this that he's been like a diehard Green Lantern fan for a long time.
Probably.
And so, given his extensive knowledge of Green Lantern, he was able to, craft a story very well because of his, intimate knowledge.
He is the DC Universe's biggest fanboy, I think. I don't think that there's a single creator that probably loves the universe as a whole as much as Geoff Johns does when you watch interviews with him.
Cool.
So
Cool.
Well, cool. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the first, because this is like, to me, this is the biggest hurdle. This one, because there's so much to know in the backstory, and there's so much setup, that this one is the one that going forward would have been the hardest one as far as like whether it was palatable or not, because it does have a lot that kind of surrounds it. But that's why we watched the video. I don't know if this would feel as good without just having that little bit of history behind it. I think that helps.
It really did.
It did.
But, well, cool. I believe the next story arc, next week's, will be Green Lantern First Flight, is what I believe it is. I need to double check that because Green Lantern Corps starts with a comic called Recharge, but I believe you read the first 6 issues of Green Lantern and then you read the 5-issue special of Recharge. is what I think it is. So I believe it's Green Lantern First Flight. I will double check that. But for our listeners who are going to read along, it'll be in the description what you need to read next. And if you enjoy this, we do always encourage you to pick it up. Go to your local comic shop, and the Geoff Johns stuff is readily available. This is a really popular comic run. Otherwise, if you read digitally, all of this, everything we're going to read is on the DC Universe app. So that's an easy resource to read along as well. And if you are reading along using the app, and I create this read list, email us at longbox@guyswithissues.com, and I will send you the link to the read list as well, so that you can just read along with us directly.
I wonder if you just post that in the public Discord.
I can, but I don't. Only a handful of our listeners are part of our Discord.
It's true.
We do have a Discord,
We also have a
which is basically like a closed forum. So you can download an app called Discord on your phone or your PC, and you can chat with us when you listen or you read along or you find something you think we might like. You can use that Discord.
I can also put that link in the description.
The Discord link?
No,
The
DC,
link to the
Oh.
DC.
Yeah.
DC one.
So let us know if you want our assistance following along, and that those link options are helpful to you. Reach out. We want to help you be a part of this,
Yeah,
especially for Green Lantern.
right.
Right. Patrick's going to say the oath now.
That is not true.
No, Chris wants us to say the oath. We're thinking about making a challenge to see if we can recite it from memory by the end of this.
Oh, it's
Saga.
You're going to hear it so much through this. You will know it.
Because technically, we
forever.
only heard it all the way through
Like once. That was a cool part. That was
was
one
a
of my
cool part.
favorites.
It was a
That
good
was
part.
one of my favorite parts as well. There's a part at the end where each lantern says one line from it, which is awesome.
Yeah, while they're fighting the Parallax,
Yeah.
who is possessing.
That was another scene that I loved.
It was good.
Every time they do that, Chris is fanboying every single time. So anyway,
I guess I'm Patrick this time.
This is probably Will.
this is definitely Chris, who's still excited because we gave it all 5s.
Yay!
And we are Guys with Issues. You can catch Guys with Issues anywhere you find your favorite podcasts.
Or check out our website at guyswithissues.com, where you can listen, find reading lists to follow along, and get to know us better.
Send us emails to longbox@guyswithissues.com and tell us your thoughts. Send us suggestions on what we should read next. We would love to hear from our listener.